till you fell for the lies and bought those pharmaceuticals, manufactured disease until the price drops. Then they get you hooked on rampant massive release of Vioxx, and then your heart stops or you develop symptoms. It's easy to push the poisons if you sell to victims. Irrelevant syndromes to intelligent systems, so you book appointments. But when you do take a look around, free samples of expensive drugs and they give them out to start the addiction. Their marketing mission targets physicians before they enter the first class in medical schools. Becomes a center for fools who learn trash. Doctors are nothing but drug vendors with basic knowledge. Indoctrinated dealers and they graduate from college. They promise to fight disease, righteous and honest, but they're not as fucking righteous, speaking the life or a product.
Both doctors and the public want to reach for the newest prescription drug.
You can't sit down to TV at night and not see a half a dozen drug company commercials.
Millions of Americans watch the ads and then ask their doctors for prescriptions.
The reason we're seeing so much consumer advertising is because it works.
They do it by telling people, ask your doctor.
They can sell us almost.
Drugs kill, and that's not something that's unreal. For 60,000 taking Vioxx, that was a done deal, none heal. They're only number with your field to master problem, so go and ask your doctor for some pill. It's a corrupt field driven by greed, no cure will unveil. They want you to live with disease, so you give them your green until you're stiff and deceased, cause the 300 billion a year isn't fit for the needs. And when the new drug accelerates to decay, they just pay the FDA to go and say that it's safe. And while mercury-filled vaccines are creating autism, they lobby in Congress for laws to make us all get them. See, it's the wrong system, look around and it's clear. They challenge herbs that's been used for thousands of years. They pound us with fear, so Big Pharma must crack into. Remember, if it's unnatural, this stuff's bad for you.
One of the things that industry does, this is probably the one thing that I think could be labeled as evil. Your disease mongering, in other words, making population, medicalizing something that is just really part of everyday life. So in other words, a person who is not yet a patient, who is actually feeling quite good, sits down to watch the evening news, and after seeing a few commercials, says to him or herself, you know, I'm not quite as healthy as I thought.
If it sounds like a conspiracy, you can bet that it is. But it's not a theory. Look at how they pester the sick. And even if you're not sick, they make you feel insane and put yourself on prescriptions cause you fear the pain. But the symptoms don't exist, mostly imaginary. By now, ask your doctor, the only vocabulary. Oftentimes I'm stressed and quite perplexed as they spout a long list of deadly side effects. Nausea and vomiting, chance of seizure and eye pain. Make you think your headaches have turned into migraines. Insanity and evil as hell. Lose a patent on a drug, changes cure, but it's equal to sell. When all along they're composed of the same chemical bonds. And 1 month it's for depression, the next for feminine problems. They're known as Me Too drugs because they lose a former license to sell. Released again, but the prices excel.
The companies that make up the pharmaceutical industry are among the largest corporations in the world. In 2004, their combined global sales were over $500 billion, with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson leading the pack. Together, these businesses have come to be known as Big Pharma. In the U.S., the core of Big Pharma's immense profits is from sales of prescription medication. And since these drugs can only be prescribed by medical professionals, most of the industry's promotional and marketing activities are directed at doctors, pharmacists, and other healthcare providers. The companies of Big Pharma hope these campaigns will lead to new prescriptions for their brands. In recent years, Big Pharma has pushed its way into the traditional doctor-patient relationship and found a new way to increase sales by targeting patients directly and independently, largely through television advertising.